If you have sleep apnea and struggle with CPAP, consider that CPAPs were invented in 1980. Do you even remember 1980? Everyone's house had one telephone. There were like 4 TV channels. Now, for people who struggle with CPAP, there's Inspire. Inspire treats sleep apnea inside your body at the click of a remote. No mask, no hose, just sleep. To learn more, visit inspiresleep.com. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you and review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
And good evening. This is Mottek on Money, number one for your business and consumer news here in Southern California. I'm Frank Mottek, and yes, we're doing it live right here, weeknights in drive time in the 5 o'clock hour here in Los Angeles on 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at kbc.com, and, of course, the on-demand Mottek on Money podcast for you, also at kbc.com. It's Apple's big day today. Stocks move mostly lower, including Apple, by the way, after Apple unveiled its new iPhone 15 at its big annual event. The price on the iPhone Pro Max rising for the first time ever. Inflation showing up in the Apple announcement today. Investors also looking ahead to the inflation numbers that we'll be getting and the consumer price index tomorrow. Ahead of all that, we see the Dow coming in for a closing loss of 18 points. The S&P 500 down 25. The NASDAQ slid 144. Apple shares down more than $3 at 176 and change. Yeah, a big part of the Apple announcement today is the price. The company will increase the prices on its top-of-the-line iPhone for the first time since introducing the model, which is likely to push the average price paid for an iPhone higher than $1,000 for the first time. With the iPhone 15, the starting price for the iPhone Pro Max will increase $100 to $1,199. We'll take a closer look at the features of the new iPhone 15 and more about that big announcement coming up here shortly. Apple keeping prices the same on 3 of its iPhone models, by the way, while boosting the starting price of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The price of gas and oil ticking higher. That's the other big story. Looks like oil has hit a new high for the year. Right now in New York, oil quoted up $1.55 to $88.84 a barrel, the highest seen since last November. And Brent crude in London continues its climb, now above $92 a barrel, up another $1.42 today. That's the highest we've seen since last November. New readings on inflation first thing tomorrow morning. The Consumer Price Index will be coming out. We're scheduled to speak to Dr. Mohamed El-Arian tomorrow evening on this program. By the way, one of the world's most prominent economists will be joining us tomorrow evening. That's what is scheduled at this point. And right now, let's get the very latest on what's happening locally. Of course, those smash and grabs continuing. We're watching these high-profile incidents involving crime here in the Los Angeles area. We'll be speaking live this evening with one of the top people in the LA County District Attorney's Office who's now seeking the top job. We'll be speaking with him later this evening. And also, we'll be speaking about what's happening with the hot labor summer continuing. No end in sight to the writers and actors strikes, which have shut down Hollywood. Meanwhile, California fast food workers will be getting $20 minimum wage under a deal announced today between labor unions and the fast food industry. This will head off a referendum on the November 2024 ballot. The new essentially $5 an hour raise would apply to all fast food restaurants in California that are part of a chain with at least 60 locations nationwide. Under this deal, the $20 an hour wage would start April 1st next year, and a new government council will have the power to raise it each year through at least the year 2029. I'll discuss that and more tonight on the LA Business Scene with Mark Wilbur, former chairman of the Los Angeles County Business Federation, LA BizFed, former associate dean of the USC Marshall School of Business, and current chairman of Employers Group. Yeah, those dramatic smash and grabs continue at local retailers, and the catch and release system now in place in L.A. getting lots of new attention. I'll be speaking live with longtime Deputy District Attorney Eric Siddall, who recently joined the race to become the next L.A. County District Attorney to replace the current DA, George Gascon. Eric Siddall, by the way, the Vice President of the Los Angeles Association of Deputy District Attorneys for the past decade and has been a critic of the current DA's policies. Eric Siddall will be joining me live later this hour. But first, on your money, the markets, the economy, Apple, too, and the whole works. Joining us live now, Gabriel Wisdom, money manager and managing director and founder of American Money Management, based here in Southern California, author of Wisdom on Value Investing. Gabriel, thank you very much for coming to the line here. Obviously, it's Apple's big day. Give us your impressions here of Apple's market performance and the new products they rolled out today.
Well, Frank, it's a very important week for not only Apple, but for data, the Federal Reserve decision coming up, the possible UAW strike. So the Apple event was somewhat overshadowed by those of us in the financial markets. The big product unveiling was interesting. Mostly they didn't raise prices as much as expected. The most notable new feature, I think, on the Apple Watches is a double tap feature. It's a physical gesture that allows you to answer calls Dick Tracy style from your wrist, to scroll through widgets and start and stop music or silence alarms. And then there's the new Siri health interaction, which allows users to log their sleep, weight, and other health markers. What's significant to me is the free cash flow of this amazing company. It's really part of most people's ecosystem. Certainly everyone who doesn't use Apple knows someone in their family who does. Year to date, the shares are up over 35%. So any kind of a pause would be understandable.
And you've covered Apple for quite some time, and we've seen this pattern over and over again, right? The stock does usually go down on the day of the product announcement, and then it goes up from there.
Well, that's true. And, what they have done, which I know Warren Buffett's very happy about, Berkshire Hathaway, the biggest position that he owns is Apple, and the performance at Berkshire has been at least 50% of it's been attributable to what Apple has done. And what he likes, what we all like, is that Apple uses a lot of that free cash flow not only to raise the dividend every year, which comes to investors on a tax preference basis, that it's taxed as a long-term capital gain, and you only need to hold the stock for 60 days. But they also buy back their outstanding shares, so you have fewer shares to report earnings on, and that generally makes the stock more valuable. So, Apple's a winner. A new darling of AI, certainly, NVIDIA, has the same kind of ecosystem benefits with their chips. Tesla uses NVIDIA chips. Almost everybody does that is involved in high-level technology.
I wonder if Warren Buffett influenced the new iPhone. He probably had a Dick Tracy phone years ago, right? Everything old is new again. You mentioned Dick Tracy. That's been around since the 1930s, believe it or not. So it's great to see that they're getting with the program. Finally, I see the MarketWatch has noted that today's drop in Apple, which was more than $3 to $176, or a drop of 1.7%, is historically a larger decline than Apple's average daily performance on iPhone event days historically. But the past has also shown that shares typically rise between the September announcement and the actual launch of the phones once people actually get their paws on the new devices. So we'll be watching Apple very, very closely, and certainly another big day for Apple and Tim Cook and the entire crew there at Apple headquarters. Now, we're also watching the price of oil, and you've been watching this with us here, Gabriel Wisdom. A new high for the year for both Brent crude in London as well as WTI in New York. Right now, we see oil in New York up close to $89 a barrel, above 92 in London. What's the outlook here, and from a consumer and from an investment standpoint?
Well, Mike, I think, unfortunately for the consumer, oil prices have been rising for all the right reasons. The economy is very strong, and everybody's watching oil now. Every little bit of data is reported in the media, and so the price is sort of baked in. The Russians and the Saudis have an agreement to limit crude oil production. OPEC announced their latest September 5th, just a few days ago, last week. And, that's clearly demonstrated that both the Saudis and the Russians want to put a floor under oil prices. But what does it mean for inflation? Well, since the 2008 global financial crisis, it's always been a pretty decent indicator of things, because there's a psychological impact of rising gasoline prices. And as I mentioned, magnified by the media. So what's going to be interesting is how these legacy energy companies transition over the long run. looking beyond the next few years, the transport-related energy consumption may change because there's a new trend toward electric vehicles, and the rapid EV shift in China, in particular, is a good example. So all the major oil companies are trying to reinvent some element of what they do.
All right. Any thoughts about where oil goes from here?
I think it goes higher, actually, and I think it makes a perfect hedge in a portfolio long term. There, numerous reliable leading indicators of the economy, and generally the economy is slowing down. It's kind of a Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold, just right, sort of soft landing that we're seeing, and that means that the demand for energy and traditional energy will probably be greater.
All right, we're getting new readings on inflation tomorrow, and it's widely expected will be ticking higher because of the rise in gas and oil prices. Might this be a market rattler tomorrow, or what do you think is going to happen tomorrow when we get that new reading?
Well, frankly, this is a very big day because 93% of market participants believe that the Federal Reserve will keep interest rates unchanged at their September 20 policy meeting. And this week, the data that comes out is going to provide a lot of guidance for the Federal Reserve. So it's an important week. Now, the Fed's own economists are expecting a soft landing. This is interesting from Business Insider. In the September report, these two economists with the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, D'Amico and Thomas King, found that the 11 rate hikes that we've had since March of last year put the economy on track for a soft landing, and there'd be no longer a need for further monetary policy tightening, no more higher interest rates. The model is estimating that the consumer price index by the middle of 2024, not this week, not next week, but looking out, on the horizon that we can see, the CPI is at 2.3%. That means inflation will be in line with the Fed's 2% target, and they may not raise interest rates unless something radical occurs at the November meeting. Then rates would go up.
All right. And as far as the economy is concerned, looks like there could be another big strike on top of what's happening here in Hollywood, shutting down the production, the writers and actors strike. And now we could have a major strike involving the auto industry. A strike affecting one or all of the big three automakers seems inevitable, according to some analysts, and could happen sooner rather than later. GM, Ford, and Stellantis, formerly Fiat Chrysler, proposing raises in the low to mid double-digit percentages. The union demands include a 46% wage increase spread out over the life of the new contract, as well as a shorter work week with the end of tiered wages and benefits. What's your assessment of what's building here in the auto business, and what will happen if there's a strike and to the economy as well as to those big names?
There have been some 20 major strikes that Thomas Lee's Fundstrat analysts looked at with regard to how the economy was affected, the financial markets, and so forth. And really, the last super big one was in August 1997 with UPS. The economy contracted 5% at that time. Then the air traffic controllers, that goes way back to 1981. The economy contracted some 5.4%. This could be the biggest, most important, more severe or dramatic strike in 50 years, certainly. The Detroit automakers, the big three, account for about 40% of U.S. new light vehicle sales. And that's according to J.P. Morgan. The automotive industry has historically contributed 3 to 3.5% to our gross domestic product. I mean, and there's almost 10 million jobs involved. And there'll be a backup. There'll be a bigger demand for cars because there's only roughly a 2-month, as I understand, a 2-month inventory of cars available from the big three. So if they strike, major economic impact here. And we'll know more come midnight this Thursday.
On the air live with Gabriel Wisdom with American Money Management. In the meantime, we see Tesla shares taking a breather today. That stock has seen a more than 100% run-up since the start of the year, up 117% since January 1st, pulling back today more than $6 at $267 and change. What about Tesla and the other EV names that are getting attention almost on a daily basis? Some good, some bad.
Frank, Tesla got a big boost from a Wall Street firm based upon their potential for a new chip and a new supercomputer. The AI Mojo is the nickname for it, and so Tesla's more than a car company. We all know that, but oddly, Elon Musk and Tesla may benefit from the UAW strike against Detroit's Big Three because Tesla is non-union. So, and Tesla has pressured other automakers this last year with big price cuts, which has angered a lot of the customers who bought vehicles at higher prices. But nonetheless, Tesla may see some additional benefit in the other non-union shops as well. EV, it's clear that electric vehicles are gathering traction, and they're fun to drive. They're quiet. The only problem is the range anxiety. There aren't enough charging stations.
Let me ask you about the other big strike, of course, what's affecting Hollywood here. No end in sight on this one. What about the media stocks at this point and the outlook for some kind of a resolution here?
I don't know. I really don't know. The most encouraging thing that occurred was the Disney charter cable deal that was made. It's kind of a cable reshuffling, and now Disney gains an additional revenue of about $400 to $500 million annually as a result of this arrangement, and cable subscribers can get a lot of the streaming services, including ESPN Plus and Hulu and so forth, all packaged in. So the cord cutting is now accelerating. 7% of those with cable have already left for streaming. They've cut the cord. I just don't know how this Hollywood strike is going to pan out. I just know it's quite disruptive. I flew into Burbank Airport recently, and it was absolutely quiet. And people at the FBO, the fixed base operator, where you leave your airplane, they were playing solitaire. So it's having a very big effect.
And you fly your own plane. You are a pilot, as our listeners well know, so that's wonderful. Gabriel, at this point, let me ask you, where are you putting money now and/or taking it off the table?
Well, Frank, I'm betting on a soft landing right now in the short run, and I think the market leadership is going to continue with the FANGs, with the magnificent seven companies that have been leading the Microsofts, Googles, Amazon, Facebook, Meta, NVIDIA, and Salesforce, and so forth. So an exchange-traded fund to own in the short run, in my view, that looks interesting is FNGS, FANGs. I also like energy, as you know, that you get ExxonMobil, Chevron, Conoco, Occidental, most of them with an exchange-traded fund symbol XLE. And then finally, the consumer discretionary area has been pretty soft, and I like where we're going, especially into the fourth year of a four-year presidential term when the economy usually picks up. That would be XLY, and that has Home Depot, Lowe's, TJX, O'Reilly Automotive, Starbucks, those kinds of companies.
Gabriel, thank you again very much for that thorough assessment of things here tonight. That is Gabriel Wisdom, money manager, managing director and founding director of American Money Management, based here in Southern California, author of Wisdom on Value Investing. Gabriel, have a wonderful evening, and thanks again for taking the call.
Thank you, Frank.
And right out to the freeways we go now. Here on 790 KABC. Friends, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. QC Kinetics can change your life. You can live again without that chronic joint pain and without drugs or surgery. It's Frank Mottek here. QC Kinetics is advanced regenerative medicine. They take your body's own concentrated healing properties and put them right into that joint to restore and repair the damaged tissue that's causing all of that horrible pain. The patient satisfaction reports are absolutely astonishing. Finally, a real alternative to the old ways of dealing with pain. And unlike surgery, there is no downtime with QC treatments. If you have constant pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back, you need to call and get a free consultation from the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today. Imagine this autumn moving around pain-free, doing the things you love again, walking, hiking, playing with your grandkids, you name it. Call QC Kinetics and see how the latest advances in precision regenerative medicine can attack that pain and bring you lasting relief. Call QC Kinetics, locations in Glendale, the city of Orange, Mission Viejo, and now also in Costa Mesa. The number to call is 213-997-PAIN. 213-997-PAIN. Again, that's 213-997-PAIN. 790 KBC welcomes the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Remember that one? 48th Anniversary Spectacular Tour coming to the Saban Theater October 8th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. Right now, caller 9 wins at 1-888-790-5222. You can get a pair of tickets to the show if you're caller 9. Call now. Caller 9 wins 1-888-790-5222. Mottek on Money continues here now on 790 KBC. The stock market pulling back today, led lower by Apple, which had its big product announcement day today. Dow down 18 points to 34,646. The S&P 500 down 25 at 4,462. And the NASDAQ gave back 144 points at 13,774. The yield in the 10-year note, which impacts the fixed-rate mortgage rates out there, still high, 4.29%. Apple down more than $3 today at $176.30. Today was Apple's a big day, rolling out the new iPhone 15 Pro, the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, featuring Apple's custom-designed A17 Pro processor. A faster chip, the company says, will boost the mobile gaming experience. And perhaps the best camera upgrade is exclusive to the Pro Max, according to MarketWatch, and that phone will have a better telephoto camera, supporting up to 5 times zoom compared with 3 times before, and will be able to capture 3-dimensional video that can be viewed with Apple's soon-to-launch Vision Pro headset. The iPhone 15 and iPhone 15 Plus will also get enhancements, including speed boost by Apple's A16 processor and camera upgrades that will support better use of portrait mode. Apple adding a new pink color to its iPhone and watch lineup as well. The company also added 2 new tiers to its iCloud product, which will offer options for 6 and 12 terabytes of remote storage after previously topping out at 2 terabytes. And now the latest news for you right here on 790 KBC. Mottek Money continues here on 790 KBC. Yep, the hot labor summer continues. No end in sight, folks, to the writers and actors strikes, which have shut down Hollywood. In the meantime, fast food workers in the spotlight today. California fast food workers will be getting $20 minimum wage under a deal announced today between labor unions and the fast food business. And this will head off a referendum they were talking about putting on the November 2024 ballot. The new essentially $5 an hour raise now would apply to all fast food restaurants here in California that are part of a chain with at least 60 locations nationwide. And the $20 an hour wage would start after April 1st next year, and a new government council will have the power here in California to raise it each year through at least 2029. Joining us live now is Mark Wilbur, former chairman of the Los Angeles County Business Federation, LA BizFed, former associate dean of the USC Marshall School of Business, and the current chairman of Employers Group. Mark, thanks very much for taking the call. Let's talk labor here now and this fast food workers deal. Give us your reaction to this big announcement today.
You bet. Thanks for having me on, Frank. You know, it's very interesting, and you kind of wish the entertainment industry would take a lesson here on working these things out. This avoids a really costly referendum that would hit in the November ballot in 2024 that the industry had enough signatures for. That, and I think this provides relief at a time with this, never-ending inflation that we're all battling with right now. And, the $5 increase that would hit, I think it kicks in on April 1st. They came to the table and they figured it out, and they found a solution. I can assure you, though, everything comes down to economics when it comes to running a business and especially a restaurant, because, you're dealing with so many things that are changing price-wise on a daily basis, from obviously the food products that you're putting together, labor and everything else. So I can assure you that in the fast food industry, you've already seen this, Frank, where people are doing walk-up ordering now, where it's all electronic, pre-ordering before they get there with food taken out to their car. So it's not with an expansion of headcount. It's, I think, probably the way the numbers worked out, they kind of foresee a reduction in workforce coming over time as they implement more and more of these robotic and electronic solutions into the business.
With inflation so much in focus, at $20 an hour for minimum wage for fast food workers, is a $25 Big Mac right around the corner?
Gosh, I sure hope not. It sure feels like that. You go to some of these places and you have a burger that seemed like $4 or $5 a few years ago is now like $9, $10, $11. The only one that seems to be holding the line pretty well, there's got to be some best practices going on there, is, obviously a gigantic fan favorite of In-N-Out.
Yep.
I noticed, I went through the other day and I was still shocked at the pricing that they were able to hold down to.
Yeah, I have a feeling you were going to say that. I thought exactly the same thing here. And certainly at some point, again, with inflation being the big issue still, to have this wage increase, it's got to be inflationary. And we're already seeing the robots delivering not only we got those boxes on wheels around town, these robotic couriers all over the place. And then even at some restaurants, fast food places, you got robots delivering the food to the table. And certainly stores are trying to, restaurants trying to hold down the costs in whatever way possible. So this is the new era here where technology is going to hopefully step up to the plate to try to keep inflation under control at the same time in the face of all that.
It's interesting, Frank, you mentioned the robots in some of the other restaurants. I've seen California Pizza Kitchen. Maybe people have gone there recently and, they have some of the robots bringing out the food, but it's kind of hard to explain to your local robot that your pasta isn't done right, or something like that. So there's still some things that could be improved.
Absolutely, yes. A lot. There's always room in the house of improvement, and you're absolutely right. And so we're going to have to get back to the restaurant folks to talk more about that. And, of course, the big story continues to be the Hollywood shutdown, the writers and the actors still on strike, and most concerning, they don't seem to be talking regularly and no end in sight. What buzz are you picking up on all that?
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if you saw that article, and it's been floating around on encouraging the passage of SB 799, which is kind of a shocking bill if you kind of understand how unemployment benefits are handed out, because unemployment is funded by businesses, so they pay a tax that funds these that funds the ability to pay out unemployment taxes, or unemployment benefits. So they want the passage of this so that the striking workers would be paid unemployment benefits while on strike, while voluntarily choosing not to work. And so therefore, by definition, the businesses that are paying into the unemployment benefit fund would be basically supporting the strike against their own business. And I know that maybe, for people that don't understand how the unemployment benefits and the taxes work, it's kind of crazy. It's basically the businesses would be paying for the strike that's against their company.
We're going to continue to watch that. Maybe there'll be a rabbit out of the hat there in Sacramento with the pro-labor lawmakers there. We'll keep an eye on that. And let me ask you this. What's happening at BizFed? I know you have always a lot of big events. What's going on with the LA Business Federation?
Gosh, tomorrow Thursday is a very exciting day for the BizFed Institute. BizFed Institute, which is the nonprofit arm of BizFed, they have their annual AI and Business Technology Forum. So if people want to kind of get on the front edge of what's going on with AI and other business technologies, I highly recommend, signing up for this. It's free. You can just go to the bizfedinstitute.org. It's bizfedinstitute.org. Go to News and Calendar, scroll down, and you can see the calendar event of the BizFed Institute AI Business and Technology Forum. It starts at 8:45 a.m. on Thursday and goes till, I think, around 11:30 a.m. So it's a little bit of time. It's a couple hours out of your day. But I think people typically walk away from their forums way better informed, more knowledgeable about the things that are coming down the pike at them, and probably some opinions about things that they may be for or against.
And Kevin Harbour, the president of the BizFed Institute, of course, does an amazing job there, too.
Oh, Kevin is easily one of my favorite people on the planet. Kevin Harbour's a special guy, and I'm so glad he's running the BizFed Institute. Nobody can do it better.
Well, fantastic, Mark. Thanks very much for taking the call. Look forward to being in touch with you on all things business here in the Los Angeles area. That is Mark Wilbur, former chairman of the LA County Business Federation, LA BizFed, former associate dean of the USC Marshall School of Business, and current chairman of Employers Group based here in Los Angeles. Thank you very much, Mark, for taking the call here this evening.
You bet, Frank. Thank you to you and your great staff.
Thank you very much, and let's get right out to the freeways now here in 790 KBC. Folks looking for legal help you can trust? Look no further than attorney Clark Fielding and the Fielding Law Team, your go-to destination for top-notch personal injury legal representation. Fielding Law understands that life can take unexpected turns, and you need a strong legal team to stand by your side. If you've been hurt in an accident that was not your fault and need help with a personal injury claim to obtain justice, Fielding Law is here to fight for you. Accidents happen, but you don't have to face the aftermath alone. Fielding Law's experienced attorneys are here to guide you through the legal process and ensure you get the compensation you deserve. Medical bills piling up, lost wages due to injury? Don't worry. Fielding Law specializes in personal injury cases and works tirelessly to recover your losses so you can focus on healing. The Fielding Law Team has a proven record of success. They've helped countless clients secure fair settlements and win in court. You can trust Fielding Law to provide you with the best legal representation possible. If Fielding Law takes your case, Clark and his team of sharks will personally work with you, fighting hard for you to receive all the compensation the law allows. Call Fielding Law for a free case evaluation. It costs you nothing to get that honest opinion. And do what I did, put Clark Fielding's number in your phone under the word accident. The number is 833-88-SHARK, 833-88-SHARK, or go to clarkthesharklaw.com. Mottek on Money continues here in 790 KBC. More dramatic flash mob smash and grab incidents at local retailers. Another one recently at the Macy's at the Northridge Fashion Center. The catch and release system now in place in LA County, also getting new attention. Joining me live now is a longtime deputy district attorney in the LA County District Attorney's Office, Eric Siddall, who recently joined the race to become the next LA County DA to replace the current one, George Gascon. Eric Siddall is the vice president of the Los Angeles County Association of Deputy District Attorneys. For the past decade, has been a critic of the current DA's policies, as you've heard many times on this program. Eric Siddall, thank you very much for taking the call here. Thank you very much for coming to the line, and take it from the top and tell us about your big announcement.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I announced I'm running for a district attorney, and what my plan is to modernize the DA's office and to actually implement a strategy of crime reduction. In other words, we're going to really target the worst offenders, and we're going to reduce violence throughout our community. The other thing that we're going to do, I think George Gascon has failed to do, and this is in terms of your coverage of the smash and grab situation, is that basically criminals are emboldened because they know that what will happen under George Gascon is that they will basically be released back into the community. And this is the reason why they have no fear of our criminal justice system. Right now, if you're arrested for smash and grab, they're going to be cited out, you're going to be released, and you're going to be committing the next crime within about a few hours after being arrested. And we have to end that process. That's not going to work. There's no deterrence there. You're not going to suppress crime that way, and we have to really fight to make sure that doesn't continue to happen.
How many times does it take to get arrested before you're finally put behind bars?
Well, I think at this point it's unlimited because there are 13,000 unfiled cases in Los Angeles County. In other words, you get arrested, your case goes to the back burner of the DA's office, and nothing's going to happen to you. So, we can have the best police force in the world, and I think we do. The LA County Sheriff's Department, the LAPD, and all of the other municipalities have really great police departments, and they catch people. But if you have a prosecutor's office that refuses to hold people accountable, it doesn't matter how great your law enforcement is, it's all meaningless. And that's something that we have to change. And, this is up to us. We all have to get together and stop George Gascon from getting reelected.
Is the situation about to get even worse? We've caught wind of some additional policy changes that might even enhance this revolving door situation out there?
Yeah, unfortunately, we kind of see that there's just not an interest in this issue. We have some courts that are basically showing that bail should not be used at all, and bail has a purpose in our system, and I think that's to make sure that people remain in custody who should remain in custody. And again, when you have a DA who thinks that bail should always be at $0, it's cite and release. Think about this: if you blew a stop sign, the repercussions for you blowing the stop sign are about the same as you going into a smash and grab at Nordstrom's and stealing a bunch of stuff.
So what do we need to do? Reverse Prop 47? Where would you get started here?
You don't even need to reverse Prop 47 at this point. You just have to hold people accountable. It's actually pretty simple. This isn't rocket science. If someone's caught for a smash and grab, they should go before the court. They should be arraigned, and they should be prosecuted for the crime that they've committed. They shouldn't be released immediately so that they can go and commit another crime.
And so what is happening at the moment? You said there's a backlog of thousands of cases here at the moment. We heard, I think, from the police chief today that crime is down. Do you believe that, first of all?
Well, look, it's hard to tell what the crime stats are because, when you're not filing cases, we really don't know what's going on. And, here's the problem. People commit a crime. They get arrested. They get hooked up. They get a ticket. They get, there's a promise to reappear in court. They don't appear. And then nothing happens to them for not appearing because George Gascon refuses to hold people accountable for not appearing in court. So, the crime issue is, I think most people in LA can see what's going on in the streets. They walk these streets. They live in their neighborhoods. They see what's happening. They see that their cars are being broken into at night, and they see that the law enforcement agencies are really they're not given the tools to be able to hold these people accountable because they don't have a prosecutor's office that will hold them accountable.
Pretty heartbreaking situation at the moment, and I know you were involved with the recall effort there for Gascon. Is that still alive at this point?
Well, there's active litigation about the recall, but frankly, I think what we all need to focus on is the election. There's an upcoming election in March. We need to have a good, credible, serious candidate who can actually fight Gascon properly. And my plan in terms of how I'm going to take on Gascon is I'm not going to let him take any voter for granted. So I'm going to go after progressives. I'm going to go after moderates. I'm going to go after conservatives. I'm going to go through all, the spectrum of political ideology because I think that public safety is not an ideological issue. We want someone with practical, real life, real world experience who is a serious person who has handled some of the most serious cases in this office. I've handled everything from a cop killer to child molesters to child killers to people who are involved in complex gang murders to Mexican mafia members. I've handled them all. I know how to get the job done. I know how to get it done fairly, and I know how to hold criminals accountable.
Mr. Siddall, thank you very much for joining us live here tonight. We wish you all the best. That is Eric Siddall, longtime Deputy District Attorney. Eric Siddall recently joined the race to become the next Los Angeles County District Attorney to replace the current DA, George Gascon. This is Mottek on Money on 790 KABC.
For over 3 decades, nobody has had a wrestling career like Arn Anderson. Conrad Thompson gets all the stories with Arn.
Would you rather take the cactus bump from the apron to the floor or give Ric Flair your debit card pin?
Number one, I don't have a debit card, but if you think I'd give him my American Express.
Yeah, there you go. Same thing.
I've been poor most of my adult life up until about the age of 25. I cannot be poor again.
Check out Arn every week, wherever you listen.